level. This is why.
All right, guys, we're back with another video, and this is an update not only kind of on the House settlement, which decision should be made soon, but also on the 5 years of eligibility. I've gotten a lot of questions from a lot of you guys about, is the NCAA going to move to this new model of not 4 years, but 5 years of eligibility in college sports? We'll get into that real quick here in a second. Remember, guys, hit the subscribe button if you like daily college baseball content, whether it's about recruiting, development, and just current events that are going on in the college game. Also, hit the like on that video. It helps us with the algorithm. And again, if you guys are looking for recruiting help, scan this QR code, fill out our form. Myself or one of our advisors will meet with you, talk about what we do, how we're different than other recruiting agencies where we actually call and text coaches. We don't send out mass emails. All right. We have relationships with coaches. That's what we do. If you're interested in that, scan this QR code right here, fill out the form. We'll meet with you. All right. Let's get into this video here, guys. All right. So one of the questions that I've received over the last 3 or 4 months, and I've talked about this since the beginning of the year, that a lot of people talking about that the NCAA is looking to go to a new model of eligibility, one that will kind of squash the stuff going on at the JUCO level where, 2 years of eligibility don't count towards your Division I eligibility. What the NCAA is trying to do is get a blanket ruling that covers everybody and essentially says you have 5 years of eligibility in sports, in college baseball in particular, and other sports as well. They're trying to go to a 5-year eligibility model. Now, the question is that going to happen with the House settlement? Is it going to happen afterward? Or is it going to grandfather in? Let's say it happens this summer. Are the players that are playing right now in season going to get that extra year of eligibility? We have a little bit of an update on that. So let's go to Mitt Winter, our favorite guy covering the House settlement and also NIL and all the lawsuits that are going on in college sports. Okay, so Mitt Winter says this: if the NCAA does pass legislation this spring or summer granting athletes 5 seasons of competition, it will likely only apply moving forward. All right. So why is that? It will likely only apply moving forward and not to athletes who used their last season of competition in the 24-25 season, this current season right now. I've had many questions on this issue. Same, Mitt, same. All right. Why would that be how the NCAA rules it? Well, again, you kind of feel bad for the players that are there using up their last year of eligibility, but also what you have to understand, guys, is think about this from the high school perspective and recruiting perspective. If all of a sudden the NCAA approves an extra year of eligibility for everybody and everyone on the roster, even the seniors or the guys who are in their 5th year or whatever, that are run out of eligibility this summer, all of a sudden, let's just talk college baseball, you have a bunch of guys on your roster that have an extra year of eligibility and guys that you were planning on, again, you were recruiting to replace because they're either going to be drafted or they're done after this year. Those guys would return. So all of a sudden you would see more cuts from the 25 class. Schools would all of a sudden have to make a huge U-turn in their recruiting strategy because now you have, with some schools who have really loaded up on older players, I mean, you may have 6 guys in your starting lineup that, barring they get drafted, they could come back. And if they've been good performers, you're not just going to replace them. So I think as much as we would like everyone to get kind of grandfathered in, the same thing that we're hearing about the roster size changes is that players on current rosters will be grandfathered in to those changes and won't have to get cut. Again, that still has to be approved. The reason the NCAA, I think this is the right decision, is because it would just create another 3 or 4 years of roster bloat, right? The same thing we saw with COVID. Again, every player who is on a roster right now, if this gets approved, who's not in their last year of eligibility, would gain an extra year of eligibility. So now you'd have a whole, 4 different classes of players who get an extra year of eligibility. That would just create another 4 years of roster bloat, at least by not allowing it to apply to the players whose eligibility ends at the end of this semester. that would make it to where recruiting for the 25 class wouldn't get blown up. And then you can make the necessary adjustments in the future classes. Again, unfortunately, if this gets approved, players on current rosters will be affected. They will be affected. You are going to see certain players that get cut, or players in the 26 class, in the 27 class get cut, because obviously the 27 class still has to be recruited, right? They 3-4 months away from having their contact date. But the players in the 27 class, it's going to affect their recruiting. Recruiting classes will be smaller because all of a sudden, if you're game planning 2 or 3 years down the road and you're like, all right, well, this is what we need in 27 because in 3 years, these guys are going to be gone. You just can't recruit as many high school guys as you want super early, right? August 1st. You just can't, because there's going to be a lot of players that have an extra year of eligibility. Now, certainly in the 26 class, you will possibly see some cuts because of this change, because all of a sudden you're going to have more guys sticking around on your roster, right? We've talked about this a bunch, guys. Let me pull down this tweet so you guys can see me. We've talked about this a bunch. The 26 class looked to be the class that was not going to be affected by any of these changes because there's enough time. Coaches know what they're going into. Again, we're still waiting for the House settlement to be approved. That's still domino number one. But what Mint Winter is saying is what it looks like is the NCAA is going to wait to pass the 5 years of eligibility until the House settlement is approved or not. So John Rothstein says NCAA members will not discuss whether or not players will receive 5 years of eligibility moving forward via legislation until after a final decision on the House settlement has been made, per an NCAA official. So they're going to wait and see what happens with the House settlement. Again, we should see a result from that soon. But certainly, the current 25 class, you may even see more cuts from that class if players that are getting an extra year eligibility, if that is approved, right? And so again, this is something to keep in mind and keep track of. I will obviously keep all of you guys updated as far as what's going on with the House settlement. Is it going to be approved? How much longer do we have to wait? Again, we're kind of in limbo. And talking to coaches across the country over the last couple weeks, they feel the same thing. They feel like, we kind of think the House settlement's going to get approved, and we've made some necessary adjustments, but if it gets approved, we may still have to cut some guys. We may still have to change our recruiting strategy even for the 26 class. So keep up with this, guys, because this is going to change a lot. And again, if the NCAA approves a ruling of legislation to give everyone 5 years of eligibility, that will unfortunately create more roster bloat, the same type we saw with COVID. Because even if it doesn't apply to the senior class or you can't even call them seniors now, just guys who are running out of eligibility this year, because some of them it's their 6th year, some of them it's their 5th year. Even if it doesn't apply to those guys, that still means all the other players on the roster get an extra year of eligibility. And so that's going to make it, again, much more difficult for high school players. So, because let's look at the downstream ramifications. The downstream ramifications are that, again, we've talked about this a bunch. There's only 20 rounds in the Major League Draft now. Just because you're a college performer doesn't mean you're getting drafted like it did when it was 40 rounds, right? When I was playing, it was 40 rounds. And so a lot of players, if you were a good college performer, it was pretty consistent that you were going to get drafted, whether as a junior or a senior. Now, with it being 20 rounds, there's just not that many players that are getting drafted, even if you're a really solid college player. What that means, there's more guys sticking around at mid-majors or trying to transfer to the Power Fours. There's more guys sticking around at the Power Four level. And essentially what it means is there's just more players sticking around in college baseball. They have more years of eligibility. They're not just going to stop. They're not just going to stop playing after 4 years. They're going to use up all of their eligibility. And that means that high school players will get hit by the roster bloat. The schools are just not going to be recruiting as many high school players, right? They're still going to recruit them. It's not going to be a demonstrative change from what we've had for the last 2 or 3 years. But again, I think what a lot of you guys and myself included were hoping is that kind of recruiting would go back to normal. That, obviously the new normal with the portal and all of that. But with this ruling, you're going to see people dive even more into the portal. You're going to see schools dive even more because there's that there's going to be a bunch of dudes that after next season that would have been done now have an extra year of eligibility. And they're going to be trying to transfer. They may be sticking around their team. And that just means there's more guys staying around in college baseball. And with that, that means there's less spots available. All right. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you think is going to be the biggest impact of these potential changes. Again, we're still waiting for the House settlement to be approved or denied. And then if there is approval, probably going to see the 5 years of eligibility later this spring or summer. That doesn't apply to guys running out of eligibility this year. All right. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. Appreciate all the support you've put on the videos. And again, if you are looking for help in the recruiting process, if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Again, if you're looking for help in recruiting, scan this QR code. We will meet with you for free. We'll talk about where we think your player's at, what his talent is, maybe what level of schools we would be able to reach out to right away, depending on the talent, and then see if it's a fit for you. All right. Appreciate you guys, and we'll be back again tomorrow with another video.